Alrighty, so we have here 1989 to 1997 Thunderbird Super Coupe independent rear suspension that we're going to be putting into a 1967-68 Mustang. There's a bunch of kits you could buy to install in these cars for a few $1,000 to $13,000 if you wanted to. But I'm a hot rodder and I want to know, what does the junkyard have to offer for pennies on the dollar? So far, this is the Thunderbird Super Coupe rear axle, 8.8 rear, posi diff, and I think it's got 308s in it, not sure. But as you know, you could easily swap that out. Other contenders were a Lincoln LS Jaguar S-type rear axle. Another one that I had was an Infiniti Q45. And the other one, which you guys probably were like, well, why don't you do that one? I don't understand over here. Is a Jaguar rear axle that came out of a 1995 XJR. And this independent diff is the first independent suspension that came in a rear-wheel drive Ford, production-wise, that you could grab for pennies on the dollar at the junkyard. All right, so I'm going to keep Ford with Ford at that particular juncture. And you're probably wondering, how the hell are we going to bolt this in here? And believe it or not, it's pretty easy, and it's going to be crazy. I got the springs, make a mount like an L bracket right here, mount that part right there, and I took the springs and I cut them apart and made the brackets and welded them. Kind of made my own thing, and have to drill some holes somewhere around here, and then maybe 2 on the frame, and then put little collars inside the frame so that I don't squeeze the frame and mash it. I already mocked it up. It looks very promising. And I'm doing it in my drop driveway to show that everybody that this is possible. If you know how to use a grinder and a cutting wheel and all that stuff, you can do it right in a rock driveway with shit all over the place. You can do it. You don't need a shop. You really don't even need a nice smooth garage floor. Just use some stupid little lawnmower wheels and some bricks. I'm just showing you that anybody can do this. This is backyard hot rodding, just having some fun, putting some junk together and see what it does. We'll either have a grenade or we're gonna have a rocket and shoot to the stratosphere. All right, I'll keep you guys posted. All righty, here we go. I made the cut you've all been waiting for. This is pretty much what you want. All right, now we're on to the other side. And I did it like this. Wasn't too impressed with this, and I'll show you why. It's kind of trial and error. Remember, this is hot rod and bullshit. It goes in there, but I kind of got like this extra turn that I don't like in there. You see that? Not a big fan. This little kind of L-shaped action kind of goes in there. It stops that. You don't really need it. It does put extra pressure around on the frame here when your L bracket is in place. Okay, so it kind of like keeps it more stable, which is nice, but it's kind of irrelevant. Yeah, you can do it like this if you wanted to. If you wanted to. Don't have to. I kind of like it with them. Kind of gives it a little bit more like it was from the factory. Anyway, how do we know the center and all that other stuff? The whole part from here to here-ish, because it starts to taper off, that rusted away, so it really tapered off. But about between from here to here is about 30 inches. So 30 divided into 2 is 15. It gives me right to the little point right there. And we're pretty much looking good. And yeah, the suspension being collapsed or all excited, you know, all the way down, it kind of really doesn't matter. It's very, very little, but this is the best I got. And this is, I already squashed the car down with a tire on it. I didn't do a video on that, but that's about it. So there's some stuff here. This is all gonna have to get cut away. The spring perches, this is awesome. kind of land on the frame, so just got to make like a perch there. So that's where the spring's going to land. Pretty cool. And the shocks, I don't know if this is going to work or not, but if you could see in there, see where the original hole is for the original shocks? The shocks to the Thunderbird will line up inside there, but I don't know if they're going to like to go on an angle yet. Well, I don't know. So it's, again, trial and error. It lines up, it goes in there. Pretty cool. One less hole you have to drill, one less game you have to play. But if not, then it goes straight up and down. You just drill a hole up in here, catch the nut and bolt on the other side. Big fat washer and a big rubber, you know, grommet on each side, and then you play the game that way. Easy breezy, nothing to worry about. All right, this is it. Bolted in, as you can see, to the frame and to the spots. And you can even use, you can see this gap here, closes up. You can use this factory bracket left over from the Thunderbird Super Coupe. You can use it right on your 68 Mustang. And then right there, you got the bolt left over, or the bolt and the nut left over from the leaf spring, which is cut away. And then there's a hole right there. I wonder, well, there ain't no wondering, because it lines up almost perfectly. Another L bracket. Bing, bing, done, bye, see ya. Almost like it was meant to be in every way. Look at where the spring lands on the perch there. I gotta make just a little shackle, little piece to go inside there. I think shackle's the wrong word for that. A bracket with like a round disc that's cupped like a plate. How about that? That sounds better. And then we'll get to the back later. That one I'm not worried about. That's going to be a lot easier than these brackets here in the front. But it actually wasn't hard. It wasn't this, oh my God. It wasn't hard. It really wasn't hard. Even where the bump stop is for the solid axle, it almost lands in the middle, almost, where the upper control arm is. So it's actually an amazing fit so far. I'm pretty stoked about it. I'll just kind of give you a little idea here, but it looks like and it's all rusty and shitted up just like the car is, so it looks like it's almost factory, or somebody did it years ago. Maybe that's what we want it to look like. All right, back again. Thunderbird Super Coupe independent rear suspension swap into 67, 68 Mustang. As you can see, I'm all bolted in there. I showed you in the previous part of the videos of how everything kind of bolts up with the brackets. What I'm gonna do now is I'll just give you a eye on it. There's everything in, all bolted up. A few things I gotta take care of, like I gotta cut the rest of that spring out of there. I know you could say, why didn't you do it before you bolted it in? But it's not bolted in yet, so that'll come out. Not a big deal. We already went over the shocks, spring perches. I kind of got my X where I'm gonna put those. Not a big deal. Now in the back here, where the other mountings go, all right. This car is Swiss cheese. It doesn't matter. It's one big pile of shit. It does not matter. We are doing all this for hot rod purposes, race car purposes, whatever you want. I'm showing you where you're gonna cut in here. All right, so I have it like etched out with the marker. Okay. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna cut that out. I'm leaving most of the Swiss cheesy stuff there so you can kind of have an idea of what was original to the car. So if you have a car that's nice that you want to cut the shit out of, go right ahead, have fun, but at least you'll know where the factory points are, where I cut it up, instead of just showing you like, oh well, I think he cut it here, I think he cut it there, but you can get an idea. I'll give you a little look from the back here. All right, I have an L bracket in there that I was mocking up that I'm not going to use. I'm going to build something similar. You can see how the frame goes away from the body of the car here where the gas tank would be. All right, let me get over here and kind of give you a little idea. The sun's glaring here, but we're going to cut it up and we're going to play the game. Alrighty, body's cut to access the frame on each side, and we're gonna make some brackets and go from there. Alrighty, getting the springs mounted and perched inside the 68 frame assembly from the Thunderbird Super Coupe independent rear suspension assembly, you're going to drill a hole right about here. All right, you line it all up, you take your measurements, but this is where you're going to drill your hole. All right, and it's going to come up through right here and over there. All right, going to have to cut on this side here a little bit more over here, which I got to do, and around here. So another like 2 or 3 inch section has to come out so the spring can mount there. This side, not so much. The body is moved away from the frame. You have enough clearance so you can kind of keep that. Now, you're probably wondering, all right, what am I going to perch the spring to? Can I make another bracket like this welded mess I have here? I have 2 cool ideas. You can use an old pulley, 2 power steering pulleys. This one's off of a Mustang. And your spring, this is because they're using heavy duty springs, but you can see how the pulley will cradle the spring. You take the pulley, and once that piece is cut out of the way, it'll mount there nice and flat. Now you can do the pulley, or what I'm going to do, I got these struts. I have no idea what they're out of, but they're both the same, and they were lying in the dirt in the junkyard. Probably came out of a Honda or a Lexus. I have no idea. Don't really care either. But their perches are perfect for what I'm looking to do. So I'm going to take these to work, spring compress them, and take the perches out and mount it on the car, and now I have a real spring perch. And again, it didn't cost me anything. The guy at the yard says, they're junk, take them, whatever. We trade for parts all the time, and even if you were going to buy them, $50, whoop-de-doo. It's not a big deal. So I'm going to take these perches and use these, not use these springs. I'm going to use the Thunderbird Super Coupe springs. So that's what I'm going to do for now. Yep, I used a lawnmower blade. I was just tired of drilling through the steel, and I just wanted to grab a lot of area on the frame without squeezing the middle of it and pinching the damn frame. So I said, screw it. I was like, you know what, this is what hot rodding's all about. You kind of use other things and other resources that are around, like a pulley, a lawnmower blade, something that's heavy duty, something a little overrated for what you're doing. And what you can do is you can pick away, again, if you, depending on how far you want to go with your build, you know, rip this stuff all away, use a lawnmower blade, clean it all up, and then weld it into place. That's one big hole you didn't have to drill. I was just burning through drill bits. I'll go through that later in another video. But that's pretty much the scoop. I mean, it's just really, it's really straightforward how this went in. But I'll give you a video of it all bolted in and done, and we'll go from there. Alrighty, we got a box of goodies here, and I'm doing springs in the independent suspension setup that you guys already know about. And I'm running out of time going back and forth to the junkyard and getting all the stuff. The springs that I had for the Thunderbird Super Coupe IRS, they went missing. I think I used them in another project. I believe I used them in my SN95 Cobra 1999 to 2004, had the independent suspension, and I believe I used them in that. Okay, so these springs and goodies here, I took apart at work. This whole setup here, there was a shop next door that was doing a job on a Chrysler 300 2017 model, and I took the struts apart because they're the heavy duty springs that we need. All right, so I'm just doing little experiments here and just checking stuff. I'm gonna use this rubber grommet, and I'm gonna cut I'm gonna use this rubber grommet here. I'm going to cut the collar here, and this is what's gonna mount, as you can see, what I have mounted there to get the spring up on the frame. This is gonna be a little trial and error because I'm running out of time. I can't get to the yard and all this other stuff, and I don't order shit and all that other, I just don't do it. I'm like, what's lying around at the junkyard, what's lying around at the auto shops that they're discarding that you could use to get the project going. So we're gonna come right back to this and see how it works. Independent suspension rear is in with springs, and with the crazy Chrysler 300 springs, it works. It's actually a decent ride height, a little bit on like the lowered side, which I kind of like a lot. The rims are off of this 06 Pontiac G6. It's kind of the same bolt pattern, but not. I'm looking for the steel rim look, painted silver, kind of give it like a race car look. I don't like black rims. I like silver or chrome, mostly silver, painted silver, metallic flake. Okay, anyway, enough of that. You can see, here's my springs, and we're rubbing on the other side because the quarter panel is garbage. Let me go to the other side and show you. What's that rubbing noise? I don't understand. Because there's a freaking hokey body work here, and it's rubbing on there, and it's making the whole project sound like garbage because you hear a rubbing noise. But that's why it's all rubbing under there. It's junk. It's all junk, and it's giving us a problem. But that's it. We're bolted in, man. We are bolted in, and we are bouncing around, and we're having some fun. I got to tighten down a few bolts. This is just a dry run, nothing crazy. But I just wanted to see what we got. And so far, so good. I really like it. I can't wait for this thing to be done. I really can't. This thing is, this is exciting. I'll tell you what, it's really cool. There you go. We're in. You're in. You can see your camber moving in and out. You can see your spring going. The whole deal, kids. It's in and it works. I cannot wait to drive this thing. This thing is a rusty junk. You can see the other side where it is touching. This quarter panel was smashed. This car's got a lot of problems. But I'm not worried about that. So that is it. That is it, folks. We got it. You want independent suspension in your 68? This is the way to go. You're gonna have a gas tank problem. You cannot use your original gas tank, but oh well. Who really cares? This is hot rod. Put a fuel cell in it. That's what I'm doing. You can see it all working. That's it, kids. We're bouncing around here, having some fun, and this is gonna be awesome. Alrighty, till next time.